Okay.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to one of our heart-powered, inspiring interviews. And as you know, every time we introduce you to an amazing speaker, entrepreneur, change maker. And today I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Lisa Genovese. And, I'm sure she's going to share with you a lot of golden nuggets you can apply for your speaking and your business right away to bring it to the next level. And who is Lisa? Well, she is an innovator and a marketer, passionate about helping brands really level up. She's a dynamic entrepreneur, and she contributes to the community by obtaining leadership and business certifications, volunteering with nonprofit organizations, mentorship, and facilitating events as a thought leader. These opportunities are mutually beneficial. By sharing her expertise and abilities with others, she's able to find new facets of business in which to grow and gain new experiences that she can translate into tangible results for bottom line and its clients. Her approach to business and life is underscored by her ultimate goal to create meaningful impact. Well, Lisa, it's amazing to have you with us today. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Great. Good, Lisa. Why don't we jump right away in? I'm always very curious to know, what are your personal 3 best practices right now, or tools or methods or something, 3 things you do right now to bring your whole business to an entirely different level again and again?
Oh, that's a great question. And I'm one of those people that likes to, keep it interesting. And so I change it up often. But I would say for me, a couple simple things, like on the personal level, getting enough sleep and some good self-care. As well, the other thing that I think as female entrepreneurs that I've seen a lot of people kind of shy away from the numbers. One of the things that I do every single Monday is I review what we call just weekly management reporting. And it's kind of a dashboard from all of my different departments, and they all have different KPIs that they're measuring. That really helps me get a very clear picture on, okay, this week, where do I need to put my focus in the business? It's a little bit higher level than kind of getting down into the weeds that I see many people doing in their organizations. And a third one, I think, is really looking every single day on where you can be a strong leader for your team, whether that be for your clients or for your team. But I think leadership is something that people, again, undervalue a lot. But if you do a good job of leading your managers, they're going to make your life as a business owner so much easier and better. So being a great coach, being a good listener, giving them the support that they need in the end, in the long run, will always make your life better and easier.
I love it. 3 very, very powerful ones. So I'd like to dive a little bit deeper into each and every one, if you don't mind, right? So the first one, sleep, seems to be obvious. Self-care seems to be obvious. I know you're a powerhouse of an entrepreneur, Lisa, right? And again, a lot of people say, oh my God, I work so much, and the self-care is always what, that falls through the cracks. So how do you make sure you keep your boundaries strong? You really take care of yourself first before you take care of your business or everything else?
Great question. I think for me, it really comes down to discipline, because I am like all of those people that say, oh, it's the last thing on the list, but it's the last thing on the list if you let it be the last thing on the list. So really making sure that you have blocked that time into your calendar, and that is gospel. Like when I put that time into my calendar, it would have to be, the office would be burning down before I would allow a meeting to get booked over that time, as an example. And I think keeping it consistent, then it becomes a habit. I recently finished, I'm sure everybody listening to this has read James Clear's Atomic Habits. What a fantastic book. And it was a good reminder for me on why do I follow some of the habits that I do. And it really comes down to his formula of, making it, I can't remember the exact, but, making it easy to follow. And for me, that's putting it into my calendar and just making sure that I continue with having those things in my calendar. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. Then I will just schedule myself jam-packed. The other thing is, I find from an accountability perspective, sharing with other people what it is I'm doing for self-care. So I will tell my management team, this is this time that you see in my calendar, this is what that's for. Then they help hold me accountable to actually go and do it. So if they hear me say, yeah, that block that I have on Monday where I'm supposed to be, getting outside, and I go, you know what, it's okay, we can book that reporting meeting over that time. They're like, actually, no, we can't. So telling other people helps hold you accountable to the things you say you're going to do. So those are a couple little pieces of how I've been able to, adhere to that, but I am certainly not perfect. I am human.
I love it. I love it, Lisa. And let's jump into the second one. I know you talk about numbers, and in business, you need to be in love with numbers, right? Your numbers are your steering wheel, right? So, you cannot neglect it. But a lot of people, say, oh my God, what dashboards? It sounds like it's only something for big businesses. But hey, I think you need to have a dashboard pretty early in your business. So what are things that when people are not necessarily running multi-million-dollar businesses yet, but they were, in their, maybe in their second, third, fifth year, and they built their first dashboard in their business, what would you suggest they put on it as a minimum?
Really good question. I would say some of the simple stuff in terms of financials. So knowing what your break-even point is every month, then work that back into every week so that it doesn't get too far before if your business is having a hard time, you haven't dug yourself a hole before you realize it. I see a lot of small businesses that are only having their bookkeeping done quarterly, and that is scary to me. Again, I think you really need a clear picture on where things are sitting. So again, if you can break that down into a weekly, we need to bring in this much revenue to cover our expenses every month, at least you're hitting break-even point. I think it's also important to know what's your stretch goal. So this is our bare bones minimum, maybe setting a profit goal of a percentage every week or every month. That's how you can build small little chunks, build into a much larger profit at the end of the year. I think the other things to track are where's your revenue coming from? How many do you have? One client that's making up more than 30% of your annual revenue? And if you do, that's a big problem, a really, really big problem. And how can you diversify that? I see from that risk analysis perspective as well, often small businesses get down in the weeds working in their business, and they haven't really taken that time in their calendar to really go and look for risk analysis, and they don't notice it until it hits them in the face. So I would say, what's your break even? What's your stretch goal from a profit perspective? And at the very least, who are my top 3 customers, and do they make up more than, I'd say, 30% of my annual revenue? And if the answer is yes, you've got a bit of an issue there. I could go on and on. I'm making the assumption that most of these businesses do not have staff or employees yet. If they do, there'd be a whole other set of criteria that I would suggest for tracking, team metrics. But that's kind of like the basics, I would say, is, profitability, revenue, and where's that revenue coming from?
And what are high level for the next level size of businesses? What are next ones? So you say team metrics.
Yeah, so for team metrics, it's a tough one to comment. And the reason why I say is I believe that those metrics really need to be based on the type of business and the type of team that you have. So what may work in my business may not work in yours, as an example. So I'm going to share some of the things that we track, and I think that may help. One of the things on our scorecard is every week in our Friday all hands meeting, at team meeting, everybody's required to share what's your stress level at, and we use a performance curve to track that. It's a metric from 1 to 6. If anybody's checking in, 4 or above, immediately management knows that they need to get in and support that person, whether it be personal or professional. It doesn't matter. I believe you bring your whole self to work. You can't say, oh, that's home life, so it gets tucked over here. So that's one thing that we track very rigorously. We also, this plays into the profitability metric, but we have a leaderboard for all of our projects. Each project is assigned a budget, and then time tracking against that budget to kind of get a sense of which projects are more profitable than others, and is there a project going off the rails? I think the other thing that is really big is we track sick days. We've 11 years in business now. It has historically been an indication that somebody is struggling, whether it be mental health, whether it be another illness. I think it's obvious they will take sick days, but I also have seen a correlation where if we don't step in when we see an increase of sick days and give that person some additional support, whether that be some coaching, some additional time off to support their mental health and provide them resources, whatever that looks like, it's a high probability that that person will be leaving in the next 3 to 6 months. So from, again, a management tracking perspective, if you can see that before it happens, you're way ahead of the game. Right. Those are kind of the big ones. We, of course, track many other things from an HR perspective, but I would say those are kind of, for us, early warning indication system, so that we can be better prepared and hopefully not have turnover happen, as an example.
I love that. And I think we need to invite you back to have a longer session around that one day, Lisa, with our community. Anyhow, but I love it. So let's go to point number 3. I was talking about really lead your managers in the greatest way. And, again, we deal with entrepreneurs who don't have like too many hierarchical levels yet, but we also work with people that have quite different team sizes. So, but what are the things that you would say, no matter what size the business has, what are things that, really, what can you do to really lead your team in a way that again, you reduce sick days, and all your metrics are showing actually green lights, right? So what are some of your personal, maybe just share a couple of suggestions on what you do to serve your team in the best way, so that your team serves the business in the best way?
I think it comes from having a really clear vision first that's been communicated. This is something we recently had an all-hands meeting where we talked about planning for 2023, and it's something that we are trying to put a greater focus on, which is just sharing where are we going and why. And I think that concept applies not just to your overarching what are we doing in 2023 planning, but right down to a granular, this is a blog post that we're developing. What's it for and why? I think that greater context gets missed a lot by leaders. And admittedly, managers are busy. And so sometimes it's, hey, I need you to go take care of this, but they forget the why behind it. That then will get the buy-in from the person that's completing the task or the team that's working towards that goal. So I'd say that's kind of step 1. From there, some really simple things. Make sure that you're having regular one-to-ones. And when you show up to those one-to-ones, you are there as a manager to listen, or as a leader to listen, not to tell. And so I think having some really good questions prepared, one of the things I'll ask, what went really well this past week? What felt kind of sticky for you, or whatever your language is, or, what didn't work out well, might be another way to put that. Where do you see that you could improve, or the company could improve on that? What didn't go well, and how can I better support you? Those are kind of the typical ones that I will ask. And I find that when you build that safe space as a leader for them to share, and that they know that they're not going to get shut down when they bring up a problem, you are going to find more and more that this turns more into a coaching scenario than it is anything. It's how you build your great managers into great leaders. And once you've built great leaders, now you're going to see that takes from your plate. But it's a give take. You have to be willing to receive feedback as much as give feedback. And I think part of that comes down to your culture and how constructive criticism is approached in general terms. I know at Bottom Line, we really focus on make it clear, but make it kind. Those are kind of the 2 rules around it, but it is known right from day one that you as a manager should be getting feedback from your direct reports. And if you're not, there's a problem, but you should also be giving feedback as well. So it's a 2-way street, I guess, is how it's approached. Gosh, I could go off about this topic. There's so many things I'd love
We
to
need
say.
to bring you back on that one too at some point. Anyhow, but all of you that are here and listening into that, and you're getting excited about the possibilities and opportunities to, not only put a solid dashboard into your business, or really also tap into the juiciness of really leading your team in a great space. We're gonna give away in a few minutes, like how you can get in touch with Lisa and get more of her wisdom for your business. Anyhow, but Lisa, I also have another question. I know you're a lady of action, right? And again, taking action day in and day out, action becomes a habit. So I always like to ask the question, like, what is one habit that you fully embrace, that you feel like made a big difference to your business? What is your juicy one?
That's a really great question, Monique. And I think, truthfully, all of what I've said today, if you haven't gathered, comes back to gathering data, useful data, and making sure that it's acted upon. I think is probably I'm a research nerd. So that I'd say that the number one thing for me is having a great network, great support system. I knew I couldn't do this alone. I don't have a business partner, but I needed to surround myself with great mentors, other people in the industry who had done it before that I could learn from. So that's my number one thing, is having really great relationships and great connections has definitely served me well through my career.
And what is the thing you do on a regular basis to build these kind of relationships?
Thank you. I would say, sounds silly, putting focus on it, actually putting the effort in to reach out to someone and say, hey, I noticed you were able to do this with your team. Could you have a coffee with me and share how you did that? So I have a regular block in my calendar every week where it's kind of focusing on either building a new relationship, whether that be for business development or whether that be for my own personal development. So that's kind of the one thing I do.
Beautiful. I love it. Great. And Lisa, that, part of our actually tradition for our HeartPowered Inspiring Interview series is we always like to invite everyone that's here with us. And by the way, all of you, thank you for being here with us, okay, for allowing us to inspire you with our interviews, and, also for supporting you to really bring your business and your speaking to the next level. And, we always like to help everyone that is with us today to really not only get inspired. We at HeartPowered Business always say, don't invest in learning, invest in earning, right? So, what is one thing people can do today, one action they can take today to turn their learning and their inspiration from this interview into action, into concrete something to do, because only then they will get the results they want. What is one step they can take today?
For sure. I would say this is more related to my core business at Bottom Line than it is what we talked about today, but it is go and have a conversation with your customers about why they chose you over your competition. It's something that I see, again, people are not doing on a regular basis, and the information that will give you, it'll be tremendous insight for you to grow your company. So go have a conversation with someone that you enjoy working with and why they choose you over the competition.
I love it. Powerful question to ask. We can't ask enough, right? And it always gives us juicy insights. Love it, Lisa. So I know, I'm sure you share, I heard you share a lot of golden nuggets today, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people that were here with us today who would love to reach out, connect with you, learn more about Bottom Line, the amazing work that you do, and how they can build a solid, a metrics dashboard for their business, and how they can pick up some of these juicy leadership hints and tips from you. If they want to connect with you, where can they find you? How can they connect with you?
Oh, I'm always happy to chat. LinkedIn is the place I hang out the most, so feel free to send me a connection request there. And also could visit our website, wearebottomline.com. And again, always happy to have a chat.
Cool. Sounds perfect. Good. Is there anything, any final, inspiring message you'd like to leave everyone with, and to round off our beautiful conversation today?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think, the one thing that I touched on today that could be, a good tidbit moving into this next year, knowing it's going to be some bumpy waters, is really look at where you yourself can put some weight into leadership, because I think that really is the foundation for everything in business. So there's my 2 cents.
I love these 2 cents that can turn easily into millions eventually. So thank you for sharing them. So Lisa, it's been wonderful to have you with us today. Thank you for sharing all these golden nuggets and hints and tips and concrete, very hands-on suggestions. All of you, again, a big thank you to you for being on with us so regularly. And again, take the action, play with it, have at least one conversation this week with one of your clients and ask them the question, why did you choose us over competition? So that is going to give you a lot of juicy insights, okay, that are worth much more than 2 cents, right? So, and again, I highly recommend connect with Lisa, get to know her, have a coffee chat with her, see how she can help to, really get, bring your bottom line to a different level. So, I just invite you to connect with her. And Lisa, thank you very much for being on with us again. Wholehearted thank you. And for being on, and thank you all for being on. And we always round it off with saying, hey, keep doing all your amazing magic. You too, Lisa, and everyone that's here with us today, right? Again, keep going out there, create your magic, and speak up, scale up, impact the world in your own powerful way. And we'll be back with another heart-powered, inspiring interview very soon. Keep your eyes out. And for now, just again, a final thank you to you, Lisa. So again, all of you, go out there, create your own magic, speak up, scale up, impact the world. All the best for now. Cheers.
Thanks.